Natural Habitat Adventures is pleased to be bringing you this webinar today, Basecamp Greenland, the Ultimate Arctic Experience. And we're here today with our Chief Exploration Officer, Olaf Malver, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about him. His enthusiasm for investigating the planet's most remote and dramatic destinations is second to none. Driven by a passion for the history of the world's greatest explorers, Olaf is deeply committed to opening remaining frontiers to like-minded travelers. He speaks 6 languages, has a PhD in chemistry and a master's in international law and diplomacy, and is a former science educator at the University of California, San Francisco. Olaf has been an adventure travel guide for more than 30 years, leading kayak trips on all 7 seas and hikes and treks worldwide. And he's pioneered numerous paddling routes on groundbreaking expeditions, particularly in Greenland, where he has been 38 times. And so we're in good hands today as we discuss Greenland. He's also traveled cross-country by dog sled and hiked in more than 80 countries over 35 years. Olaf is a fellow of the Exclusive Explorers Club, an honor bestowed on only a handful of the world's premier adventurers. And now, as the CEO, Chief Exploration Officer at Natural Habitat Adventures, Olaf ensures that we maintain the same spirit of true adventure that has driven all the great explorers for centuries. So, Olaf, welcome. We're happy to have you here to talk about Greenland.
Well, thank you so much, Lee, for this wonderful introduction. And good afternoon to everybody on the East Coast. And I'm talking to you here from where I live right now, which is the capital of the Republic of Georgia in Tbilisi, and it's about 12 o'clock here. But I'm all excited about talking to you about my favorite subject, which is Greenland. As Lee said, I've been there a lot of times, and I'm sure I'm going to go back again and again and again. It's basically a place, once you've been there, it kind of gets under your skin, and you get what the Brotherhood of Arctic Explorers calls the Arctic fever, or the polar fever. So that's why a couple of years ago we sat around the imaginary table of natural habitat and threw ideas around, and we realized that there was an unmet need to get more people up to this amazing island. The unmet need is basically for people who want a little bit of more comfort than hardcore expeditioners. And so what we decided to do was to create a new concept in Greenland, which is based on what now is a growing phenomenon called glamping, glamorous camping. Basically, find very remote places that are just stunning, amazing, and try to get people to experience this place, but do it in a more glamorous, comfortable way. Because through my many years of expeditioning in Greenland, the people we got to go kayaking, dog sledding, climbing in Greenland were all people that we told before they started that disaster was a prerequisite for adventure, or that they basically had to work hard as a team, expect a lot of discomfort, and at the same time get a lot of wonderful adventurous travel surprises. But the fact is that a lot of people would love to see that beautiful part of the world, Greenland, but they might be a little bit hesitant to go there on those rough notes. So we put the concept on the market in 2014. We offered 6 departures as the trip that I'm going to talk to you about in the fall of 2014 without having built anything. We just wanted to test it out. And in 3 weeks, all the 6 departures were sold out, and there was already a waiting list. We then submitted the trip to Outside Magazine with a hope that they also, just like the people who had signed up, would accept this fantastic idea of building a luxury camp in Greenland and experience Greenland. And for sure that year in 2015 we were nominated as one of the best adventure travel trips. That specific trip was nominated as the best adventure travel trips in the world in the category of splurges. So we were very, very happy with that. And in 2015 I went to Greenland and worked with my Greenlander friends and set up the camp that you're now going to hear about. So that's the background of this amazing idea that came into fruition and now has become a success in the sense that everybody who came home from that trip in 2015, this year, in this summer, raved about the trip. So I'm talking to you guys about an opportunity to be the second wave of teams coming up to experience this part of the world. The part of the world that I'm particularly going to tell you about, it is Greenland, and it is the east coast of Greenland. You can see the two maps here. The first one on the left is the location of eastern Greenland, of Greenland in the relationship to the Arctic Ocean. And it's well known that the Greenland ice cap is the second largest ice cap after Antarctica in the world. It's also well known that this is the place in the world where a lot of people talk about global warming and the effect of global warming. And particularly these days with the Paris conference happening right now, this is definitely a place to come and see the whole global warming phenomenon in a real close-up context. The part of Greenland that is most fascinating, to me at least, I've been all over, is the east coast. And the map on the right shows you the map of Greenland. And as you can see, most of the cities in Greenland are on the west coast because that's where there's very little ice compared to the east coast. Greenland has 64,000 inhabitants, and only about 3,000 of them live on the east coast. You can see the two cities on the, I wouldn't call them cities, but outposts on the east coast, Scoresbysund and Ammassalik. Scoresbysund up north at the mouth of the biggest fjord in the world has about 800 inhabitants, and the Ammassalik area has about 2,200 people living. And that is on a coastline from the southernmost point of Greenland at Cap Farvel, Cape Goodbye, all the way up to Cape Bridgman up in the north, which is as long as from the northern tip of Norway to Sahara. 3,000 people. So it's truly the most remote, unexplored coastline left on the earth, together with, of course, the backside of the Antarctic continent. So to get a chance to come in there, you're really one of the few that get a chance to see how remote and beautiful it is. The East Coast is also wilder and more rugged than the West Coast, apart from being less populated. So there's, to me, in my mind, there's simply just more wilderness and also animals to see on the East Coast. Before I get into the product itself, let me just mention right now, because I think that's a very important part of this trip, that is that Natural Habitat Adventures, we work very closely with World Wildlife Fund. We are their only partner in North America, World Wildlife Fund US. And as you can see, number 5 is one of those areas which are on their list of protection and activities. And as we know, World Wildlife Fund has gone from more as a local area conservation threat perspective to more of a global perspective, due again to global warming. So global warming is really it's really something that can be studied and be, what I say, be scared about and be realistic about when you go to eastern Greenland. World Wildlife Fund have been very active up on the ice cap and have supported both monitoring field-based projects and also assisted in the development and implementation of strategies for the ecosystems in the Arctic. Just to give you an idea how this part of the world, that is Greenland, is truly the canary in the in the mine, in the deep mine. When there's no more oxygen left, the canary doesn't sing anymore. And when there's no more ice left in Greenland, well, big things are going to happen because of that. Greenland is known to be the place that creates the weather in Europe, and that is, of course, due to the cold ice cap that is very thick, and actually is so thick that the middle of Greenland goes under the surface of the ocean. But you can see here the development here from 1992 to 2012, where in the summer of 2012, basically all of the surface of the ice of the Greenland ice cap was melted at one specific time, 99%. That is dramatic and it is scary, and I have been up there myself and seen those blue, very wide and slippery rivers that you see in the picture here that is created by the melting of this ice cap, and with many of these rivers simply just disappears into big holes, and many places scientists don't know where their water is going. The theory is that this water is helping to lubricate many of the glaciers, who then are gliding quicker towards the ocean. Global warming is a fact, I believe, and Greenland is definitely the place to come and see it. So if you are a person like many of our natural habitat clients are, who are interested in the natural environment, I want to understand what's going on, not only for us, but for all those wonderful species that are disappearing at a rapid rate. Greenland is definitely the emotional place to be. We invite you to come there with us. And the way we do that, as I said, was to build a base camp in Greenland on the east coast, very close to the Greenland ice cap. The two places I showed you before where you can get into Greenland easily is from Iceland, and the easiest place to get to is to the Ammassalik area, where you fly into the airport of Kulusuk, and then we transport ourselves out to where you see that star just south of a little village called Titnetlak, in short Tinit. It's a city or outpost of 101 people, and that is where our base camp has been built. And you can see that that's basically a place where you can get easily to, and also from there you can go west and northwest and go in and touch and see the ice cap and understand what goes on there. The other thing that I like about this area, where I have made many kayak expeditions, is that there is Greenlanders living there, and on our trip to the base camp Greenland, we will also experience that element of Greenland and eastern Greenland. So basically the itinerary is pretty straightforward. Let me just do it in short. That is, we meet you in Iceland, and then you fly 2 hours from Iceland, from Reykjavik airport, up to Kulusuk, to the east coast of Greenland. From there, we will helicopter over to Tasiilaq, which is the so-called capital of eastern Greenland. Tasiilaq is the new name for Ammassalik. We'll spend a day there, actually we'll spend 1.5 days there, and then we'll transport ourselves by boat up to the base camp south of Tinit. We then spend 4 nights out at base camp exploring galore from base camp, kayaking, hiking, nature watching, and zodiacking as determined by the weather and by the ice conditions in the Sermelik Fjord, which is the fjord that is just west of Tinit, as you can see where it says camp, there's a big fjord going in. These are mighty forces at play here. In fact, when we came up this summer, there was an earthquake recorded at camp, close to camp. That earthquake came from the break-off of one of the ice pieces from the glacier that is at the end of the Sermelik Fjord. Very big piece that shook the earth. So to be more detailed, Reykjavik is a lovely city. Now Iceland is booming, 1 million visitors a year, lots of great hotels, and of course the hotel that we have chosen is one of the better ones, centrally located with great food and wonderful rooms. And then from there we get to the airport and fly up 2 hours with a small Fokker 50 across the Denmark Strait from Greenland to Kulusuk. And it's really interesting. Iceland, that part of Iceland is in the middle, is jutting out into the Gulf Stream, the warmer Gulf Stream. So it's always kind of half shitty weather in Iceland. But then when you get closer to Greenland, suddenly the clouds disappear, and this is the kind of views that you are exposed to, and this is the ice and landscapes that we are going into to explore. When we get to Kulusuk, the airport that was built by the Americans many years ago, a Bell 212 helicopter will pick us up and ride us 10 minutes over to Tasiilaq. That itself is pretty exhilarating, and from the helicopter we often have seen minke whales and narwhals from above, given the right ice conditions. We then arrive to Tasiilaq, and as I said, it's a city with about 2,000 inhabitants. Most of them live by being paid by the government to administer Eastern Greenland, and some of them work as hunters in the area, and more and more of them are now working in the tourism industry, which I believe is the total future of Eastern Greenland and the people who live there. They are living on top of a gold mine, literally, because of this unbelievable nature there is in Eastern Greenland. We stay there the first night because we want to see the museum, we want to go for a walk, we want to see the handicraft that the people are living there, making there. And we are also visiting one of my friends who is a dog sled driver, who will describe for us how he drives his dogs in the summer, in the winter, and also we will in the evening experience a real drum dancing ceremony from some of the local shamans who still live in town. This picture is a model of how they used to live, and I tell you, this is not many years ago. In fact, Tasiilaq was discovered in 1890s, so not more than 130 years ago, by a Danish captain who rode in a umiak and had some kayakers with him, and that's how they discovered Tasiilaq or Ammassalik in those days, and they found these local Greenlanders living there in these kind of sod houses. And we will, on our trip, we will still find some of the ruins of these sod houses, some of them where people still lived in 30, 40 years ago. So we are very close to nature people's existence when we come there and experience the area. In fact, this is just to tell you how all these Inuit came to Eastern Greenland. You can see that most northern arrow going down the coast there, and the two dots on the eastern coast, one in Itaqatrumit and one in Tasiilaq. They basically came across as polar Eskimos, paleo Eskimos, in 4 or 5 waves, and came down the northernmost point of the world, which is the northernmost point of Greenland, and bands of a couple of hundred people came down in different waves and tried to eke out a subsistence on eastern Greenland. So those are the people that live there now. These are the ancestors that came to eastern Greenland. And they basically just lived from kayaking and hunting. And when they were discovered by Danish explorers in the 1890s, they were actually slowly dying out because it was just too tough to live there. Today, the modern Greenlanders, they of course live there, and they have Danish healthcare systems, they have Danish school systems, and it's a big question mark what the population of eastern Greenland is facing in the future. But again, as I said, I think tourism is one of their big hopes. Let's see what the framework will be for their own development. They now have home rule, so they can decide a lot about their future. Of course, Denmark is helping them with some money, but given that tourism is growing, and also ironically that global warming is heating up Greenland to an extent that the fish along the eastern Greenland coast are now coming up in bigger masses, so the fishing is becoming more proliferate for the East Greenlanders. So maybe fishing is one of their futures. Who knows? This girl is looking into an open, uncertain future. Anyhow, back to Ammassalik, I just want to tell you that, of course, natural habitat style, we stay in the best hotel in town with a fabulous view and good Danish food, and that's just simply the best place to stay in town, and our clients loved it. We have lectures there, we fit our dry suits to people, we get ready, check out our gear, and then after 2 days, actually 1 day we spend in town, as I said, sightseeing, and a full day we go whale watching out of town to see the many whales that are outside the mouth of the Ammassalik fjord. We are talking about fin whales, killer whales, blue whales, all kinds of whales that live outside the fjords, where all these nutrients from the glaciers that are coming out, spawning these glaciers, carving off and getting nutrients out into the Greenland current. They sustain large amounts of krill. Large amount of krill sustain a large amount of fish. Therefore, in these kind of mouth of the fjords, it's very likely that we will see whales. Back to the itinerary. So now, after the whale watching outside Tasiilaq, in the area where it says 10 miles, in that area we take the boat out there and do a full day of whale watching and photographing. We then take our boats out to Tinit, to camp. And there are two ways of doing that. Either you go on the left side of the island or you go on the right side of the island, all depending on the ice conditions. Optimal ice conditions, we will go on the east side of the island first because we stop halfway to get a little stretching of the legs on our 2-hour ride, where in fact Gustav Holm's old expedition headquarters was, and there we get some interpretation of that expedition and what really happened, and also get a broader idea of the history of Greenland from many thousand years ago up to modern days. We arrive at Basecamp, and then when we go home after our many days or 4 nights of Basecamp experience, we go on the west side of the island down the Sermelik Fjord, so we circumnavigate the whole island and see how amazing the whole place is. So there you have the map of the itinerary. So after 2 hours of ride, we arrived to that camp that I'm talking about, the Greenland Base Camp. And the Greenland Base Camp was my idea and was executed well by the team from Natural Habitat. And of course, the 7 or 8 Greenlanders who helped me ferry 47 tons by dog sled and skiff from Tinit, where it was shipped in, over to the site. The idea would be to have cabins for people where each cabin could house 2 people. So so a couple would have their own private accommodation. In that accommodation, there will be a warm, lovely stove, and inside would be a Martha Stewart atmosphere. In the back of the cabin, there will be a separate room with a toilet, a dry toilet, so that you have your own toilet. You have your own toilet in your structure there. And in the front, we have a few chairs where you can sit and drink your evening scotch with Greenland Inland Ice clinking on the glass. So this is set up that way, and as you can see more details here on the right side is the dining hall. Behind the dining hall, you can't really see it here, is the shower wash facility, and just that little wall all the way to the right behind the dining facility is actually, we have built a storage house for all our gear, because in the winter all of this is packed up in mid-September. All of this can be taken off the platform and stuffed into boxes or into the storage area, so that nothing is really visible during the winter. And the reason for us to take it down in the winter is that in the winter, where we are not there, polar bears will be sniffing around, and we don't want them to go in and sleep in Martha Stewart's beds and make a mess out of it. And also, the winter in this particular part of Greenland have very bad storms. They're called Pitarak storms. In fact, there was a storm just 1 week ago with a wind gust up to 280 kilometers per second wind force, which ripped a lot of things apart in Tasiilaq. So we don't take any chances. And right now, as we speak, all you see left in the base camp are these platforms and nothing else. So that's the structures, and you can see inside, this is the Martha Stewart thing with your nice beds, warm beds, and places to put your stuff, and you even get your own slippers and perfect towels and so forth. So you're going to really feel you have your own comfortable accommodation by yourself. This, of course, is completely different from what I'm used to after my many years of expedition, where we basically just hopped into a sleeping bag and slept in small expedition tents. So it's quite interesting for me to be part of this successful build-up of a camp like this. That's another view of the door going into the bathroom that is in each cabin. And you can see the stove over there on the left side, which makes the cabins really warm at night. We also wanted people to be able to take their daily showers after our excursions. So what we have done, we have constructed a big shower facility where 2 rooms are separated, where the big tent structure is separated into 2 rooms. Each room has 3 showers, so 1 room is for women and 1 is for men, and you have the wash station here should you need to shave or make yourself pretty for the evening's gourmet dinner. A shot at night of the accommodations, and you can see here this is a picture from the late part of the season. That will be the beginning of September, where the northern lights are already coming in to play. So imagine yourself sitting on the porch there in a down jacket and with a hot cup of mocha in your hand, watching the northern lights flicker over the sky. It's simply amazing. And of course, on this spot here, we have got the permit from the Greenland government to build it now, and there's nobody else there. The only nearest structures are about 6 kilometers away, which is that little city of 101 people, Tinit. So we are 6 kilometers away by Zodiac, only 15 minutes. That is, we have placed it there so that we can go and get our provisions and our fuel. And in case of an emergency, there's even a helipad over there should anything happen, which we hope not will. So from a safety perspective and a logistical perspective, this was the best place to place the camp. But look at the setting here with these beautiful mountains in the background. So what did we do in this camp? Well, I can tell you one thing, the days goes extremely fast. We have bought 2 new Mark V Zodiacs, and that's how we get around on excursions. One of the ways we get around on excursions. And we have 2 big Zodiacs like this for a group of 15 people, which means 7, 8 in each Zodiac, 7, 8 clients in each Zodiac. So there's plenty of space to move around in. We love these boats, and we have both Greenlandic and Western Zodiac drivers. The Greenlandic Zodiac boss is Julius Nielsen, who's been a hunter in the area for his whole life, actually. So he knows the currents, and he knows how the ice moves and how to position the Zodiacs safely and how to find animals to look for. But again, look at the background here. Look at these mountains, most of them unnamed and unclimbed. They just come in one after the other. Because of the ice, the Zodiac riding is very safe. There's no big waves here. The ice holds down the waves and dampens everything. So it's pretty easy to take good pictures, and it's amazing how many iceberg pictures people come home with after their vacation in Greenland. They never get tired. And the first day when we go out on these Zodiacs, it's quiet in the boat. Quiet because people are totally in awe. Look at how glassy and reflectory the whole experience is. This year we had I think 7 departures, and we had 3 days of overcast in almost 2 months. So that is why this place here is called the Arctic Riviera. And of course, when I came in, I had to take the camp down in mid-September. It was raining again. So we had a fantastic season and raving reviews, and it really helps when the weather is good. I can tell you, Eastern Greenland has much, much better weather than any other place in Greenland. Just look at how lightly people are dressed. Although we do provide these survival suits for everybody, they are cozy, and when we get ashore, we take them off so we can walk around without getting sweaty. But they really work well, and of course, everybody gets one and just simply loves them. That is, by the way, Julius in the yellow life jacket, and our expedition leader Melissa Scott standing at the tiller. Here's an unusual excursion, but we just couldn't not do it. Stand on an ice shelf, stand on the ice floe, and experience what it is to be one of these ice floes moving around in Greenland. Everybody's got experience to be on an ice floe. The other way we move around is by kayak. With our many years of kayaking experience all over the world, we know the best, safest, and most comfortable boats for our natural habitat clients. Hoskuldur in the green jacket is a professional sea kayaking guide who has done many expeditions with me throughout the years, and he will quickly teach any novice how to hold a paddle and have some fun kayaking. You do not need to have any kayaking experience. We will teach you first and then demonstrate for you in the backwaters, and then we'll take you out for a spin. It can be quite dramatic. Some of the icebergs are fantastic to watch from the seat of a kayak, and it's a wonderful way and quiet way to experience both wildlife and the icebergs. So people are really happy, and we often see people with that grin on their face kayaking with us. The activity of kayaking with natural habitat on our base camp is extremely safe. And the way we do it is we always have a safety zodiac in the back, far away so you don't hear it, but close enough so that should anything happen, which is highly unlikely, or should you be tired of paddling that day, or however long we paddle, you can always hop on the zodiac and we will take the kayak and schlep the kayak after the zodiac. But I highly recommend that you do this even if you haven't tried it before. But again, safety is first, is key, so that's what we do. Just to give you an impression of the waves in eastern Greenland. We of course do a trip over to Tinit, and there you can see how dramatically located this little hamlet is in eastern Greenland. The fjord in the background is Savlik Fjord, and it's moving all this ice from the glaciers and the inner sanctuary at the head of the fjord out into the Greenland polar stream, where it's caught by the big polar stream and taken south, and it was one of those icebergs that hit the Titanic so fatally. So we'll take you on an excursion out to Tinit, and I'm sure we're going to go up and get an ice cream in the shop. That is a paddle right out of base camp, actually. There will also be plenty of opportunities to hike, and as well as kayaking is for beginners. For kayaking, you only need to be novice, and here you hike as long as you want. We always believe that flexibility is key, and we have enough staff to split the group into those who want to hike longer and those who just want to toddle around, look at the flowers, and really see Greenland close up in a slow fashion. The hikes that we did when I did my first trip with the Natural Habitat Basecamp group, none of the hikes were more than 2-3 hours long, and we tried to combine that with our zodiac rides, kind of to get out and stretch our legs and get some variety. But as you can see, the views are stunning. That is very close to base camp, by the way. And this is close to base camp as well. That particular shot is taken at midnight in July because our base camp is located at the polar circle, just 50 kilometers south. So in July, in the beginning of July, the sun only goes down for a few minutes at midnight. So because we're doing our trips in July and August on the first week until the first week of September, we have literally the whole day for exploring. And also taking great shots close to midnight and get those fantastic sunset Arctic golden shots. Our expedition leaders, many of them are well-versed photographers, and of course we will help you, instruct you, and many of our clients are serious photographers, and they come home with all the memory cards filled out for sure. Just to give you an idea of one of the places we go to, across the fjord from our camp is a place called Johan Petersen Fjord, and at that place 29 glaciers tumble from 9,000 feet into the ocean, into an amphitheater of noisy glaciers going in straight into the ocean. So this is the place where your jaw simply just drops, and where you understand that if you mess with all this kind of stuff, if this kind of stuff starts to change, if these glaciers are not there anymore, well, something is going to happen with the planet. In Tinit and also at camp we have dogs. The dogs are there because that is actually, in my mind, the most efficient polar bear alarm. The dogs, we have two dogs at camp. One is called Nat, and the other one, of course, is called Hap. They are at camp so that the bear can immediately sense that there is some other animal there. They're called bear dogs. And the reason we have them is because the polar bear population is growing in eastern Greenland. Last summer, there was 9 summer sightings of polar bears by local people. Now, polar bears are very skittish, but and if we are very, very lucky, we might see one. This year was very close in the sense that we sojourned one day over to a place and we couldn't get into a little mini fjord where there was a river going out with some salmon that I wanted to catch for our dinner. So we stopped on the outside of the fjord, and then we went hiking from there. And later on, the Inuits told me that at that river there had been a polar bear fishing for Arctic char. So had we gone in further, we would have seen that bear. Well, it was low tide, but you know, it's always a possibility, and for sure we we are well protected at camp. We have the devices to scare the polar bears away, and of course we don't want to harm any of them. We just want to scare them away to keep our clients safe and sound. Other wildlife, of course, in Greenland, the Arctic fox is around camp and other places where we go ashore. And there's some bird life to be enjoyed too. This is a gyre falcon in the area. There are terns, lots of different seagulls, and jaegers and buntings and ptarmigans. So for those who like to see some Arctic birds, apart from also from the eiders, of course, we might be lucky when we go on our zodiac excursions. And this guy here, Ursus maritimus, I know a natural habitat has a trip in Churchill which has guaranteed, almost guaranteed, the polar bears. This destination, it has no guaranteed polar bears, but I just want to show you the slide of how beautiful this animal is. So after all this talking, and I'll just give you the clear-cut numbers, the trip numbers I call them. So the trip is 8 days in Greenland, a total 9 days, and the period is from July 27th to September 1 in 2016. We only take 15 clients. We are famous for taking small groups. You don't want to have a lot of people in a wonderful nature like this. We believe in small groups, high quality, good guides, and the cost of the trip definitely has not scared anybody away. We think it's a fair price given all the big investments we have made and for the experience that you get. And already for 2016, people are lining up. The Eternal Air is what is the flights from Iceland over to Kulusuk and then on round trip with a helicopter from Tasiilaq to round trip Kulusuk. So with these slides and impressions, by the way, this is the backwaters behind our camp. There's like a bay going in behind our camp. And you can see some of our kayaks lying there and some of our novice kayakers getting a lesson in how to master the art of sea kayaking. With these slides here, I want to thank Bill and Diana and our two super guides, Melissa and Eric, and our staff member Sarah for providing some of the slides for this show here. And I will guarantee you, I really guarantee you a great experience if you sign up for this trip. Of course, the best asset we have, we think, is apart from the destinations that we create so boldly, the expedition leaders that Natural Habitat provides. And this summer was Eric Rock and Melissa Scott, our two-star guides, 2 hours, two-star guides, and they led all 7 trips. So they definitely got the polar fever or some kind of fever. And I'm sure in 2016, I've heard rumors that at least Melissa will be back, and we're going to choose from the great pool of guides we have who will assist in providing the services that we are so known for. So with that, I thank you, and I welcome any questions, and I'm sure there are many detailed logistical questions that you'd like to know about. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Olaf. There are quite a few questions, and before I read those, I just want to remind everyone listening that you can type questions in for Olaf now over on the meeting room control panel over on the right-hand side of your screen. Just type those in, and we're organizing, and we'll get those read. So, Olaf, there was a photography question. I mean, I know you covered it during the presentation that it is definitely a place where there's spectacular scenery, and there was a question about whether this is a good trip for someone who's really focused on wildlife as a wildlife photographer.
I would say that compared to many other natural habitat trips, you know, to Galapagos, Churchill, Serengeti, and so forth, this trip is not like that. And that is because the Arctic per se has very little wildlife. There are a few hotspots in the Arctic, like Churchill, like Lancaster Sound, and like Bylot Island, like Wrangel Island, that has this very dense population of walrus, of belugas, and so forth. That is never going to happen in generally in the Arctic. So to come here and expect your memory card to be filled with pure animal shots, that I will not recommend. What I will recommend is more of a Greenland wilderness experience, all peppered with some wildlife, some local lore, Greenland lore, and a lot of landscapes. So I would say not really, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good. Good to know. Okay, a couple of general questions here. What are the temperatures like?
Yes, this is the most asked questions of everybody going to Greenland always. So the outside temperatures can vary from, let's see, 65 degrees Fahrenheit down to 35. So it can actually get pretty balmy. Of course, what's really is important is the wind factor, and most of the time it's not very windy in eastern Greenland in the summer. The other thing that defines your comfort, your temperature comfort, is the humidity, and it's actually pretty dry. The Arctic at this high up is almost a desert. So we are on it's a semi-arid desert. So although you've seen a lot of snow and ice and icebergs so forth, it is pretty dry. So the outside temperatures, you know, can go from the 60s to the mid 30s, but people don't feel cold. That's my answer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. All right, so weight limit. There's a question here about what the weight limit is for baggage and camera gear.
Okay. Let's see. On the flight over from Iceland to Greenland, you're allowed a total of 44 pounds of luggage, and then 8 pounds of carry-on. Now, if you have more, there is a normal luggage fee cost for that. So you can take more, but I wouldn't go too much over, simply because the next flight, the helicopter flight, is pretty strict about weight limits. And you might not get, if we have a big group of people with a lot of extra luggage, then that luggage will not go over with the same helicopter, but will maybe arrive in the afternoon with a more empty helicopter. So it's a little bit of a nuisance. But it's that's basically the rules for the luggage. And of course, we will give you a big pre-departure booklet with everything in detail, what you need to bring and not to bring. And remember, we will supply the survival suits. We will supply rubber boots, some neoprene, some booties, over boots. We will supply that kind of stuff. We even have some kayaking gear, gloves, and kayaking booties that we also supply. So those you do not have to bring. So it's only in case of big camera equipment that you need to just bring the the must-have lenses, and then that little favorite lens that you always bring.
Okay, good to know. There's a question here about the cabins, specifically about the power source. Is there 24/7 power, or is it limited? Are there outlets? How much lighting? All of that.
Okay, we have. There's no electricity cords going to the cabins. The cabins have solar-powered lamps, which are not very strong lamps. But remember, again, if you open the shutters of the windows, the Arctic light will shine 22 hours a day through the windows. But in the dining room and the mess room, we have lots of electrical outlets for recharging any device you might have.
Okay, very good. The guides are you talked about Melissa and Eric. Are there also local guides that are with the guests?
Yes, as I said, we have Julius, who is a local guide. He's our head Zodiac driver. He's going to be with us, and we are still trying to get more people involved from the local community without jeopardizing the comfort and safety of our clients. So this is an ongoing process. So although we only have Julius right now, I had like 7 to 9 people from the little city of Tinit of 101 people to help me build the camp and take it down. And also we had people who were involved in the boat transfers from Tasiilaq out to camp. And we have a laundry lady over in Tinit. So we are getting more and more of the locals involved, but we still don't have the head expedition leaders, the ELs as we call them, being Greenlanders, but we hope one day to be able to have English-speaking Greenlandic guides with enough sense of customer service and interpretation that they can be in front of our clients.
Okay, good. Food, that's what's on our mind now. People are wondering about what type of food is served.
Gourmet food. Gourmet food. You cannot believe it. It's fusion. It is. We actually have a chef flown in from Canada, and he works in our polar bear lodge, Shane. We flew him in, and he makes magic in the kitchen with a fully equipped chef kitchen. And we can do vegetarian, vegan, you name it. We have fresh Arctic char, we have steaks, I mean, it's just amazing. People raved about it. And we have fresh food flown in from Iceland with airplane and helicopter to camp. So expect something out of the world, something that just has blown my mind, because I'm always used to sit, eating out of my little cup of some freeze-dried crab. So it was amazing how people enjoyed the food this year.
That's funny. Okay, I think we have time for one more question here. In July, what are the odds of seeing Arctic wildflowers? Will they be in bloom or pretty much done?
In July is a lot of flowers. In August, there's a lot of flowers. They're both in July and August. It depends how high up you get in the mountain. But we had lots of flowers in August this year. Now, this year was one of the coldest years, another global warming thing, strangely enough, in 35 years. But there are flowers all the way through into the third week of August, different types of flowers. So great photography of flowers for sure.
Good. Okay, well, this has been great. We filled up an hour, so I want to give you a minute or so to be able to have some closing comments. So I'm going to stop with question and answer and turn it back over to you, Olaf.
Yes, it's been an honor for me to be your panelist, and I hope my enthusiasm for Greenland has rubbed off on you guys. And all I can say, if you want to have a good time in Greenland, and if you want to get close to what Greenland really is, come and join us in Greenland Basecamp this next year.
Thanks for being with us, Olaf, and thank you all for listening, and we'll get the replay out to everyone tomorrow. So with that, we'll say good day and conclude the webinar. Goodbye now.
Goodbye.